So one thing I love about the Sports Buffet podcast is obviously my post-game interviews, but I also like it when I can just talk to my friends or people in the field of sports about other sports that they're not involved in, maybe not sports they're not involved in, but maybe basketball on a Division I level or an NBA level or whatever the case. Kyle Hoehne and I have broadcasted together for a long time now, probably too long, and we're both 27. But we had a chance to catch up with one another on the way back from Ringgold Monday night, about a week ago at this point, maybe 2 weeks. But we just talked about random games that we had done together, broadcasting tips for aspiring sportscasters and more. You know, I really love long-form podcasts, and I'll tell you who does it great. District 2 Sports Podcast. They'll bring on coaches and they'll talk to them about their journeys and things. There's a pro wrestling podcast out there, Insights with Chris Van Vliet, and he'll talk to people, and it'll be really long-form podcasts. I don't do as much long-form, but long-form podcasts are really fun because you can really dig in and talk about things. Kyle Hoehne and I, maybe a medium-form podcast as we dug in and talked about things. Hope you enjoy it as much as I did talking to one of my better friends in the profession, Mr. Kyle Hoehne, and I traveled back from Ringgold a couple weeks ago, and we just talked random stuff. Bob Elvis and Kyle Hoehne just driving around. So I don't know how this is going to sound, but we're just going to talk, KH, about topics. We're not going to talk about people because no need to bring others into this mess that we do. But, we were just talking. Let's just talk general. I mean, we were talking broadcasting 101. You've been doing this a while now. You're big time. You're emceeing stuff. You're big time. I'm very proud of you. What's the one thing that you don't think a lot of younger guys do that maybe they should do broadcasting?
The one thing I hear, and this isn't even from the younger guys, this is when I listen to the older guys.
Because you're doing that. Well,
right.
You turned down the radio right now. You were listening to an NBA game.
I was listening to an NBA game, and I'll say this: the pros. I heard Kenny Albert doing this on ice hockey. They do the Alvis over to Hoehne, now Smith, now Thompson, and it's fine if you know who those people play for.
Right.
But if you're just a casual fan, and then think about NBA trade deadline where everybody has a brand new team.
Sure.
It helps to identify who has the ball, and I think even the pros, like I said, even Kenny Albert, he's got a book out. I think he just doesn't do it enough. You don't know that the Rangers have the puck very often.
Right. I'm not going to play, who do we identify by first name or nickname or anything. But
yeah.
I think in the days of when the Bulls, MJ, you could say that. And if people don't know, well, then I don't know if they should be listening. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
I don't mean it that way. But,
But high school nicknames?
Probably not. And even, because you're the voice of the Colonels, and I'm gifted to join you every now and again. Keith Piper's on with you a lot. But sometimes if you just say the first name of somebody, I'll pick on Spence Fisher for a moment.
Yeah.
If you just say Spence, well, obviously the people that are out the fans are going to listen. But what if somebody's listening for the other team? Well, who's Spence? Type of thing.
For sure. And I think the art to that is sometimes you can go back and maybe clean it up later on in the play. Basketball would be tougher because, they move the ball so much. Maybe in a football run, you can start with one and then clean it up. But you definitely make a great point. I think we just, as we get into that thing where it's all about what I see. So I know it's Spence Fisher.
Right.
And sometimes you forget to tell the audience the full name. I think I should maybe give numbers more. Some people do that, but I don't know.
Well, you know what? You should do more, and I should do more, and we all should do more.
What's that?
Scoring time. People can't get enough.
Sure.
People cannot get enough of scoring time. You've done games with a lot of partners now. I've done games with more people than just you as well. But we've done a lot of games together.
Yeah.
Let's just talk about some of what, if we had to maybe make a Mount Rushmore of games we've done together. For whatever reason. It can be because they were special to you. It could be because of they were awesome games or whatever. What sticks out to you?
Yeah, I'll start. I got some here already in the short list. I think if you remember, we went down to Surrey or Sussex in 2005 for a state quarterfinal. And that was the Joseph Ellis when they won a state championship, and then he passed away, later on in the year. And we didn't know any of that, but I just remember going down there for that whole atmosphere. It was a classic kind of an atmosphere, when you watch the classic basketball movies.
Right.
It had that kind of a feel. and a pretty good game, as I recall, too.
Edward Barham.
Yeah.
Edward Barham was their big guy because I think he was going to go play college football at like an ACC school or something.
Yep.
Thanks for stopping right there, by the way. I appreciate that. Not getting me killed. I think we might have known that Joe Ellis was sick, but I don't know if we knew to the level.
Sure.
Because I think it was like inoperable stomach cancer.
Yeah.
Or something like that. I'll go with one of my Mount Rushmores. I believe it's when we went down to Franklin. I want to say it was like the Franklin Guard Armory football field or something.
Yeah.
And Daniel Babb. It was William Campbell and Franklin. And this was one of William Campbell's teams that was a little bit smaller. But Daniel Babb, I don't think it mattered how big they would have been. Because Daniel Babb was a man that day. And I remember Brad Bradley would always give me, like some notes beforehand about the opposition. And on there it said, greatest running back we've ever seen. Or something like that.
Yeah.
And you and I have heard that so many times. We kind of have become numb to it, I think. But Daniel Babb lived up to billing. And that is also the point to where I knew Brad Bradley's going to be honest with me forever and ever.
Yeah, that unforgettable. He ran for like 260 or something.
I think it was 3.
I think you're probably right. And he probably didn't play in the fourth quarter as well. I mean, it was one of the all-time individual performances. Not that his offensive line was bad, but individual performances. I mean, that was still. I'm never going to forget that.
You got another one, or you want me to go again?
For me and you specifically, I got a few more that I can remember. There was a buzzer beater, a half court buzzer beater, Rondell Dews to send the game to overtime. You always talk about that. Yep. And the rest of the game was great too. But when you get that, you just rarely see those in person. So that was incredible.
It's a very good Chatham team too. Yeah. Very good Chatham team because they had Trevor Calloway. I want to say Duke. Yeah. Duke Word. They were very good.
Yeah. What else though? Let's keep going. Obviously any of those games in Richmond are going to stand out. And remember, there was the one year we went for the regional and the state tournament. That was big.
Yeah, we didn't do as many games together during the Juan Thornhill era, so we don't really have that. And I don't remember. When did you start doing games with me? Because Mark Slusher did games with me for quite a bit, but I don't remember.
I don't want to give my age away.
Well, no, we're not giving ages away.
Yeah.
I don't remember if it was me and Mark more for Kenny Hunt's era or you and me more for Kenny Hunt's era.
Yeah, well, that was. I started doing it with Mark when I was in college, and then when we picked up with baseball practice, I said you got to get this Bob Alvis guy in there, and then I think you guys did most of those. Although I know you and I saw that the Kenny. We talked about this earlier tonight.
52.
That game, where he scored 52. Was that against Washington and Lee?
Yep.
Yeah.
Washington and Lee Montrose.
That was on that little Christmas tournament. So we were definitely seeing some of those. I remember he had the Michael Jordan-like put-back dunk on the missed free throw where he started outside the three-point line and came in.
Well, I remember I was sick.
Okay.
And you and your dad were doing a game at William Campbell because I was sick. And that was the first time Kenny did it. And you tipped me off to like, hey, he's done this. Watch out for it now.
Yep.
But I think I can't remember who that game was against at William Campbell. Like I said, I wasn't there.
Yeah.
So it wouldn't make the list.
But
I mean, and you real quick too, that Christmas tournament, they would always bring in somebody that was going to be like somebody that they may see later on. Because I remember one year it was Castlewood. Lots of teams. I mean, you always have 3 normal ones. But then that 4th team was always kind of the rotating door, and it was Washington Lee Montrose.
Yeah.
Let's see, what else can we think of in the remember that 6 games in one day?
Yeah.
I think you were with me for half of them.
I wasn't even there for all of them. Yeah, that was at an event at Liberty University, I think, right?
First annual Beacon Credit Classic. Wow. And I just wanted to do it because I loved high school sports. And I was doing talking high school sports. And at that point, I'm like, no, we can never do this.
It's like when those people want to run a 50-miler because a marathon is just not enough.
Right. And now I can say I did 6 games in one day, check.
Yeah.
Because I remember that's when we started having, like, I don't want to say the NWO third man, but we had a lot of third guys there with us for a while. The late Paul Baldwin joined us quite a bit. Yeah. I think John Patterson joined us maybe once or twice. But, I mean, Jeff Monroe joined us.
Continue to do some games with. Schedule allows.
But those games were 6 in one day was plenty.
Well, we
for
got.
me on that
I feel like you were with me when we got to see some prime Logan Thomas, who, if people forget, I mean, he was thought of as an ACC basketball player too. I think Wake Forest was the one that really wanted him to play basketball, and he did some things that let us know why.
If he wasn't a quarterback in college, he could have done the double.
Right. And the football thing worked out just fine for him. What, a 10-year NFL career or so?
Yeah.
So, yeah, that's awesome. But it is cool to say you saw some guys like that.
But that's the 5-second game, too, because it was Alta Vista and Brookville playing, and Alta Vista had made or Brookville had made a shot, and they didn't have any more timeouts left. And I always would bring that up because I'm like, you don't have to inbound it. You don't have to inbound it.
That's right. If they don't have any timeouts, just let the clock run out.
We were in Ringgold tonight, and my goodness, how many good ones did we see down there with Alta Vista and Dan River?
Yeah. There was an overtime game. I think it was Jarrell Jordan, AJ Cardillero, or there was Dan River had to put it back at the buzzer.
Yeah.
I remember that one.
I remember the double tech.
Yeah.
Early.
Yeah.
And that took out a couple people.
You're kind of anti-double tech, aren't you? I'm going to get on a tangent.
I don't know if I'm anti-double tech, but
I thought you told me that one time.
It was a weird one because it was so early in the game. I want to say it was like first quarter.
I think you're right.
Really early.
You're right. Yeah.
It was just a weird game. I'm trying to think how many weird Alta Vista Gretna games. And when we say weird, that's a compliment, by the way.
Yeah.
How many weird Alta Vista Gretna? I mean, that one year, the endings, I'm not sure how many you were with me for.
Yeah, I think that was you and Mark for at least two of those.
Okay.
I know I wasn't at the one at Gretna that came down to the wire. And Keith and I were talking about how we used to have to go up above the entryway there on the little platform. And that was always a test of your acrobatics.
I couldn't do it now. I would die.
Yeah. Well, remember, you were locked in up there. You weren't. You couldn't go down and go to the bathroom.
And you better be there at 5:15.
Yeah.
Too.
Exactly.
I mean, that was not the rivalries that we have seen over time have probably kind of plummeted. I don't want to say maybe plummeted's a strong word, but they've died down a little bit.
Yeah.
I think at least in my time, and I think you've been with me. I think you've been with me for more basketball games than you haven't. But I think that Alta Vista has had a rivalry with almost every Dogwood school, it feels like.
Yeah, and
because they had the Nelson.
Some have gone through multiple times, too.
Yeah, Nelson, Appomattox. I remember some of those Appomattox teams that were very, very good.
Yeah.
Obviously Gretna. I mean.
Well, can we go back to Nelson real quick since we're talking about great things? You and I saw a game at Amherst in the region semifinal. That was prime Thomas Brown.
Yep.
When Nelson went on to win the state championship. I still say Thomas Brown, probably the best ball handler I've seen at the high school level. Maybe not best scorer, but he's certainly in the conversation there. But do you remember how he would handle with the dribble? I mean, it was Kyrie Irving-like stuff, and he's 18 years old.
Yeah.
You know?
I think the unheralded guy from that team was Mike Jones.
Yes.
Because there was Mike Jones, there was Chris Jones. I know there were a couple bigs, too, and I feel terrible that I'm forgetting who they were. But that was good. We haven't done as many football games together, so that we don't really have a lot of memories on unless it was Danielle Babb, because we talk about that all the time. We talk about the Rondell Dews game with Alta Vista and Chatham. I believe we went to Alta Vista and Monticello, too, and Trey Travis was fire in a bottle on that game.
I think 50 what from him? Or just bang on 50?
I want to say 50 or 51.
I still think that's the highest scoring game for an Alta Vista player, at least in my memory. Now, they talk about Tracy Poindexter. I feel like he probably had a 50 piece.
Mm-hmm. But we saw Kenny.
That's a lot of points in an 8-minute game.
Kenny had at least 52.
Okay, that's
against
right.
W&L.
Yeah.
But Trey Travis, I want to say hit like, and this is before people started hitting threes like they do now.
Yeah.
But I want to say Trey hit like 8, 9, 10 threes.
Yeah.
That game. And I remember, I don't see a lot of tall people in my life that don't wear a jersey. But the coach of Monticello was Matt Blunden, who used to play for UVA. He's 6'7". I mean, he obviously had Cardillero out-heighted. So the head coaching height difference was there. We saw a lot of good games, too, because we would pick up some games, too, with William Campbell.
Yeah.
When they had their little run that year. Were you with me when Alta Vista played Nandua? in the state semis when they lost with AJ Custis?
That was you and Mark.
Okay.
Yeah, I've had
Sorry.
to see the video of
Yeah.
it, but yeah, that was
Don't shoot.
Right. And that was the driver for Alta Vista's eventual state championship. Right. They kind of used that as a motivational
right
piece.
Well, let's talk about some other fun stories while we're here. You don't know what's coming, so this is great for me.
Yeah.
Some people that we have talked to or interviewed in the past that have just cracked us up. I remember one time, by the way, too, when we did that free throw shoot-a-thon.
Yes.
Out at Liberty High School. Gosh, if John Patterson only knew what he was getting into at that point. But that was fun for us. Who are some people that are characters that have either we broadcasted with or just talked to that people might not know? And we don't have to get off the records here or anything.
See, that your first question was easier. I instantly remembered.
Well, yeah, but you've been around a lot too.
Yeah.
So I mean, not to make you feel old, but I mean, characters. I mean, whatever you want to say, just funny stuff.
It's hard to out character us though.
Yeah, I was gonna say we've been there. We always talk about Jacob Gruce.
Yeah.
Because he was at Dan River when we were kind of starting a little bit. Obviously the late Bob Locust at Gretna. I remember they quote, "They couldn't hit water if they fell out of a boat."
Yeah, Bob Locust comes to mind, and he would do the thing where you'd go over to try to get the starting lineup so you could give it on the radio, and he wouldn't tell you because he was afraid you were going to tell Cardillero. And it's funny because if you know anything about the basketball rules, the starters have to be in by 10 minutes,
yeah,
I guess, before the game?
I think it's 13.
Okay, so he was gonna have to turn around and show the scorebook in another minute anyway. But that was Bob Locust. He was fun like that, and kind of an old school coach. Those old school coaches tend to have a little bit more character. Now, remember the guy from Buckingham? I don't remember his name. And
Steve Packett.
I think he's okay. Was that Steve
the late
Packett?
Steve Packett?
Yeah.
Steve Packett had passed away.
Yeah.
He
was feisty.
He was a little fight because you got to remember the Dogwood district has looked different.
Yeah.
Several times. Buckingham at one point was in the Dogwood, and that was not the because we've shared a lot of miles on roads as we're coming up 29 right now from Dan River, but I mean Buckingham wasn't a sneeze.
No.
I mean that was a good little distance, and we both normally were coming from Lynchburg somewhere, but even from Lynchburg, still. Yeah,
and a tough gym, kind of old school gym, and then also on that note, you go further down the road to get to Cumberland. Do you remember when they were building their new gym?
Yep.
We were playing in like an elementary school, and remember how crammed we were in there? We couldn't find it at first because we went to the high school and there's nobody there, and eventually we find this elementary school that I think just had the half bleachers on one side, and those were interesting games. That was just like on a random Wednesday too.
Yeah. When you talk about old gyms, did you ever do any games with Mark in the old Nelson County gym?
Just one.
I mean,
one, yeah.
That gym was like New London Academy,
right,
so to speak. I mean, it was a very, very small gym. And then Nelson, I don't want to say went the opposite direction, but the gym now at Nelson is like monstrous.
Yeah, it's spacious. It's spacious. I always still talk about the old JF gym.
Yeah, the balcony.
Character that it had. Yeah. I don't know if you know, but Appomattox kind of refurbished their gym. And
yeah.
Coach Casey Johnson called me out on the radio and said that I didn't like it. I never said I didn't like it. I just liked the old, unique. It had the wooden bleachers.
Right.
It had a very unique vibe, and it feels a little more homogenized and pasteurized now. So, but it looks good. I'm not saying it doesn't look good.
One side of the bleachers at Appomattox was really far away.
Yeah.
And one side was like really close too. So let's talk about some broadcast locations. We've been everywhere. We've been on the floor, been in press boxes, been in bleachers. Alta Vista, it's probably one of the unique experiences for me because you turn around one side, you're on a basketball court. You turn around the other side, looking out at a football field.
Yeah, I'm sure there's another place like that in the world, but I don't think I've been to one yet. Have you?
No, I mean, Gretna, we used to have to climb the ladder. We climbed a ladder. I think that was at Chatham.
To put the Marty antenna
up. Well, no. That was Gretna where we had to climb up onto the roof.
Yeah.
But just to broadcast at Chatham,
perch,
we used to be up.
Yeah, and we could still go up there if you want to. We could have. Yeah, okay. Hey, what about, remember a random, I think it was a region quarterfinal at Hampton-Sydney. We were up there in the catbird. That's the highest vantage point. I thought we were going to, if we made a wrong move, we were going to fall over onto the court. And then to boot, I think we did that passing a an old handheld phone back and forth.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
We did it on a phone line, but our equipment wouldn't connect.
Yeah.
So we just held the phone back and forth. Lord Botetourt, the game we did there, kind of reminiscent with that very high angle, if you remember.
You had to go through like a maze to get up there, if I'm not mistaken. It was almost like, the McDonald's playground to get up the sliding board type of thing. I'm trying to think where all we've been outside of the Dogwood, because for a while there, for regions, we were going here, there, and everywhere. I mean, I remember we went to Hampton, Sydney.
Yeah.
You and Pops went to Naruna.
Yeah.
Did you go to Eastern Mennonite with me?
Did not do a game at EMU. We had games at Spotswood one year. That was Juan Thornhill's sophomore season. He had a little takeover game there against Page County.
I think I went to East Rock before. I don't think you were with me. But yeah.
And that was a year that I think we kind of knew that was a game that kind of told me how legitimate they were, because you remember most of those guys were still very young.
Yeah.
We knew they were good, but after that game, I kind of said, well, yeah, they can win it this year. And they did, of course. But, yeah, that was a unique kind of a setup.
Was that the year that y'all made top 10 on ESPN Sports Center? The dunks in the States?
He dunked, but no, that was his senior season, all those dunks, yeah. But, yeah, I actually, when I think about it, haven't done a ton of games there in that valley region. I mean, had a few. We've been to Riverheads a bunch of times for football, but I don't think I've ever been in the Riverheads gym.
We went to, where was it?
Even though they were playing them a lot in basketball.
Christmas tournament type thing. It was a Gap?
Yes, that was Buffalo Gap. Yeah, and we had there's Alta Vista won a double overtime game at Buffalo Gap.
Yeah, I think I remember that.
Not that long ago. That was a Stuart Hunt.
Okay, no, that's not me, but I remember when we went to Christmas.
But they had a tournament that same season. Yeah. I think that's why Casey might have wanted to play in it. Kind of back to what you were saying about bringing somebody in you might see. I think that was his thought of getting in their Christmas tournament.
Right.
Plus the connection to Chad Ward, former Alta Vista.
Sure. I'm trying to think if we've been anywhere. We've been to Richmond together a few times. I don't think I ever went down to Virginia High. Didn't you go to Virginia High?
Yeah, we were at Virginia High for a few years there. That was in the old two-region days, the old East and West days. But it's kind of crazy because Alta Vista was in the East, Virginia High's in the West, but that was when they would do that crossover deal. So those were interesting times.
And they kind of had a circular building, right?
Yeah, they have a unique setup. You can be down at the scorer's table like you would at college, but they also have a press box there at Virginia High. So that's a pretty unique gym. And if you know anything about Virginia High, a lot of their stuff is almost on the collegiate level,
right?
Because of the way the school system's set up, and they bring in a lot of outside money because they have a swimming pool in the school, and the general public can be members, so they bring in a lot of money that way.
The only place I ever went to that had a swimming pool, and this was before, I think it was me and Mark at this point, I don't think it was you, is Orange County.
Okay.
Orange County had the swimming pool inside, and if you ever have been to a place with a swimming pool inside, and I do it a lot when I go to Randolph, you can get the smell of chlorine pretty quickly. I mean, you don't have to get into the quote-unquote pool area to get chlorine. I mean, I'm not saying you're going to, overdose or anything.
No, but you're right. When you walk into Randolph, and people, if they've never been to a game there, they should go, I think, because I like unique gyms.
Right.
Randolph's definitely got a unique gym. I don't know of any other, again, I haven't seen every gym, but it's fairly unique. I think you would agree with that.
Yeah, it's got, so I do PA announcing at Randolph, and when you're at basketball, you've got the walls right. Your scores table is right there, and the wall's right behind you.
Yeah.
All the bleachers are on the other side, but they're elevated a little bit. So that's pretty cool. We haven't done a lot of football together, but I know we both have been to probably a lot of places. I know that, for me in the Seminole, I've got the luxury when I'm at City Stadium of always being in our press box, and Heritage and Glass, that's one game too. So I'm in a press box normally about 6 or 7 times, seems like out of a year. Liberty's got a nice press box. LCA, there's not enough room in the end, so to speak. So you're standing outside, and this year, Dwayne Hamlin and I stood outside when it was raining. He brought a tent over, and then I was outside like 2 weeks in a row when Heritage played and a random game against Turner Ashby.
Yeah.
It gets cold.
Yeah,
out
it
there
does.
Real quick.
It does. You think when you're walking from the car somewhere in that weather, you're like, oh, it's not bad out here. It's 50. But when you stand outside for 3 hours in 50-degree weather, it gets really cold. You and I were outside at Amelia for a football game a couple years ago.
I
It wasn't
that.
cold that day, but that was not a great day for Alta Vista.
In the bleachers.
Remember? Yeah, we were in top step of the bleachers. I had fun setup there at Amelia. Didn't we go there for some basketball?
I think so.
Yeah.
I think so. You know, the funny thing is, people, I think, when they hear you broadcast sporting events, they think it's a very glamorous thing and that you always have, like, you know, just some nice broadcast location. And everybody has been very good to us, but in high school, you don't always have, like, the, you know, super duper broadcast locations because high schools, especially for basketball, aren't always built for that.
Yeah.
So.
Well, I'll just throw this in there.
Please.
Working with some of these other people that have just done college things, I always tell them you really should do some high school games because it gives you that perspective for the things you're talking about. It also kind of makes you earn it, you know, and I don't want to say pay your dues, but maybe I do want to say that because, yeah, you know, you don't have any stats. You're lucky if you can find a roster online. Sometimes you got to copy that down out of the book when you get there. And, you know, you're standing up looking over a bench or a fan. So it does. I think it's a little bit of a proving ground maybe. And it is fun. Like, I think it's fun. Obviously, we must have thought it was some kind of fun because we're still talking about it now, some of these strange conditions that we've worked under. So, you know, it's something. It beats sitting at home on the couch all night.
Yeah, I always say it beats digging a ditch.
Yeah.
The roster part's gotten easier with the thing called the internet.
Yeah.
Because when we first started, there was no real. The internet wasn't what the internet is now.
Yeah.
So you talk about crawling up through the windows at Gretna to put the antenna out to shoot it back to the station. That was a quote unquote old school thing.
Yeah.
That had to be done a lot. And you talk about getting the roster. It was getting it out of the book at that point. Now you can go to like SeminoleDistrict.org or DogwoodDistrict.org and you've got everything. And you prep really good too because you know a lot more about the teams. That's the thing about doing play-by-play. You have to prep a lot more.
Yeah.
When you're doing PA, you don't have to prep. You just got to read a roster.
Yeah.
So, but yeah, it's harder to find your information. Sometimes you're having to talk to people. You have to even talk to me. That's awful. You talk to coaches that are playing them. Like, what's the scouting report without giving me the scouting report?
Yeah.
Type of thing. So yeah, that can make things difficult.
And I've done that a little bit less over the years, which is probably not good. Now, once you get into your district stuff, you know, you're hearing from people and you got an idea. And a lot of the coaches we work with are pretty forthcoming about saying, yeah, they're going to try to do X, Y, Z tonight. But yeah, that does make it fun. And again, definitely a challenge. I don't know if it always makes for the best broadcasting, but definitely a challenge.
But the funny thing is, you coached baseball at one point as an assistant.
Yeah.
I broadcasted, and in the Dogwood a lot more than I stopped and went to the Seminole. The people that we used to count on for information are not necessarily there anymore because high school sports is so cyclic with people. I don't want to say they'll come and go, but people don't do it for 30 years because people have families, people have this, people have that. What we do is different, but coaching is not a lifelong profession anymore.
No, and a lot of that has changed. You'd get head coaches stay at a place for 30 years, like you said. You'd get assistant coaches that stayed for 30 years. There's a few of those, Mike Revis has been an assistant coach his entire career. He seems very happy just doing that. He's a football lifer. If you don't know, he was with Mike Sharness at Rustburg and then Alta Vista, and now they're back at Rustburg. I think Revis might have coached a year at JF, but
but
so you still have a few like that.
Too, when we were going to like 1A and 2A football, and you do it now, like when you and your dad went up to Riverheads. Robert Casto was not a 2-year guy there. He'd been there I want to say a lot of years.
Yeah.
And Strasburg had Glenn Proctor, who had been there a lot of years. At the single A level, you find people there for a lot of years, and guess what? They don't just coach one sport.
Yeah.
Coach 2 or 3.
That's true. Yeah, or at least they start out coaching multiple sports, and then you kind of offload something as you go. But you're right. That's changed, and you mentioned the rivalries.
Yep.
How you used to get these crowds in the gym. You get that occasionally now. Not as much. Life is just different. We had a great crowd for Alta Vista Gretna the other night. That was completely full. But not to the old got to pre-sell tickets and you got to get there for. But definitely a throwback kind of a game in that respect. And it's great when you get those because it does kind of make you remember the old days.
When we talk about you used to get there at 5 or 5:15 to broadcast, we're not exaggerating. I mean, and when we said you were not getting down to go to the restroom or the concession stand, again, no exaggeration.
Yeah, you really had to plan for those. That was, and you know, those are memories you're never gonna lose. Yeah, and it's fun to say that you were a part of it in some small way. And we got a few of the tapes around. I mean, you had a stash of tapes
I got
too.
I got them somewhere in a storage unit.
Yep.
So, final thing, the other thing that we do a lot besides goofing on each other and broadcasting is we throw trivia out to one another a lot. Do you know how that started?
I don't know. I think we're just sports fans,
yeah.
right?
Because, I mean, we can be texting. It'll just be a random text from Kyle Hoehne or a random text from Bob Alvis, and it'll just be some question.
Yeah.
And now that we've, gotten into, I remember you turned me on to that game on Twitter to where you had to name the top 10 left-handed home runs after, the fourth inning or whatever.
Yeah.
And then, with the immaculate grids, the 9 of 9s, I mean, we've gotten worse over the years.
Yeah, but I'll see something, a list or a trivia question that I know would appeal to you, and I think we both have an appreciation for those questions that are tough that you can't get it right away. I'm not going to ask Bob who's the all-time hits leader because he's going to know that that's Pete Rose right away. But I'm going to ask Bob something like, who had the most hits in the decade of the 60s? Right. Because I know that he's going to have some knowledge. He's going to be able to use some educated guess, process of elimination. You want those questions that are tough but gettable. I love those that have that 5 to 10 person sweet spot. Right. If there's 30 people that have done something, it takes too long. We're both going to lose our patience by then. Although that'd be fine on a trip like this. But I think there's a real art to that trivia that you and I can appreciate. I don't know that we get all the questions right.
Yeah, we probably don't need to bring other people into that because I don't want to corrupt anybody else more than it's kind of like who was in the lineup when Pete Rose got his record-breaking hit. Yeah, stuff like that.
That's
And honestly, the thing that's made my trivia so good is I watch old videos or I collected baseball cards. Yeah, the collecting sports cards and reading magazines. It's really taken my geekdom to another level.
Keith Piper, who we mentioned on the broadcast, one of the guys I do games with, also the Alta Vista baseball coach, he's talked about remembering the jersey from the card helps him get them on the grid. And he said that's 90% of the time he visualizes the front of the card, and then he visualizes another card from the other uniform. So, it's fun, and I should go back and look at the cards for that reason.
Well, the other thing, too, when we play the grid games, the more common answer, the higher your percentage. Yeah. I can only speak for me, but I think I'm speaking for you, too. We don't want to be that guy.
Not anymore.
We want to be the lower percentage guys.
In the early days, you were happy just to get 9 of 9.
That's me with hockey.
Right.
If I could ever do that.
Sure, yeah.
Some days I'm happy to get 1 of 9.
Yeah.
But we're going to talk some hockey off the clip, and I'll tell you what, we could do a podcast probably about 1 million topics.
Yeah, I got a great hockey trivia question.
Go for it.
Okay, you want to hear?
Yeah.
All right, the only guy, and this I think is in all pro sports actually, or at least we'll say the Big Four. Only guy to win the postseason, in this case Stanley Cup MVP, before they actually won the Rookie of the Year. This is a great question, and I can give you hints.
He won the Stanley Cup MVP.
He came on late in the season.
Kind of like K-Rod did that year with the Angels.
Exactly.
Okay.
Yep.
Gosh. Yep. How old is this?
70s.
Okay.
First hint, goaltender. He's in the Hall of Fame.
See, this is... My hockey knowledge is not great, folks.
Well,
so
I know if you... Yeah, and I... it's such an oddly specific thing.
Is it a Canadian team or an American team? This guy,
Canadian team, but he's an American goalie. He played at Cornell, which makes it even better. Had a broadcasting career after.
Is it Ken Dryden?
Ken Dryden is the correct answer, yeah. There you go. You got it. I mean, that's impressive.
I'm a sicko.
And he did it for the Montreal Canadiens. Yeah, so you can use him on the grid.
Do you know what game Ken Dryden broadcasted? That's famous.
Did he do the Do You Believe in Miracles?
Yeah, Miracle on Ice.
Yeah,
without Michaels.
So right, that's. I guess maybe he was at the tail end of his career, or maybe he was still playing and just jumped in the Olympics. That happens sometimes, where a guy will they put Draymond Green on games when he's still suspended or playing.
Right.
Yeah.
Well, Greg Olson was actually broadcasting a few games here
That's
and there
right.
when he had bye weeks.
Yeah,
so
that's right.
Anyway, all right, enough of this. Kyle and I
Yeah.
will talk off air. Always fun to do.